This is going to be 10 tips for Vikings War of Clans. This is not meant for beginners. I think the beginners are going to have a hard time following this. Tip number 1. Whatever reduction you apply to any process, whether it's knowledge, building, training troops, or anything else, once you click the apply button, once you start the job, it is going to stick forever. This is how many boosts it's going to take for you to complete the job. So let me give you an example. So just to start, I'm going to remove 2 of my gears. And this is actually my learning set. This right here is my learning set. So we're going to take a look at a very expensive job, and let's take a look at the time it takes. All right, so as of right now, it takes 21 weeks to do this knowledge. If I press the button now, from this point forward, once I've paid all my resources, I will need 21 weeks worth of boosts and clan help in order to complete the job. Now, I'm going to put on the rest of my knowledge gear. And let's see what a difference that made. Now we're at 18 weeks. So once again, if I press the upgrade button now, it's going to be 18 weeks, and changing the gear is not going to make any difference. So the reason this is important is because you need to know that whatever reduction you're going to apply needs to apply before the job starts. Another thing is these little bonuses that you have, these learning speed ups. They do a tremendous amount. I use the big ones for the big jobs and the little ones for the smaller jobs. Now, these are cumulative, so whatever reduction you were able to make, this will add 10% on top of that. And I'm going to go ahead and burn one. I have 26. So let's take a look what it costs now. So the job that started out at 24 weeks is now 16 weeks. With clan help, I can probably get it down to about 14 weeks. So that's 10 weeks worth of boosts that I just saved by applying learning gear and by applying one of the boosts. Remember, it needs to be applied before the job starts. There's also hero skills that take down your learning speed. And you got to make sure you max these out. Oh, hold on. Wrong one. There you go. Learning speed. 60%. And 40%. That's 100% reduction. You got to make sure you max those. You got to make sure that you have a hero set that has those skills whenever you're doing learning. And as soon as you apply the job, you can go ahead and change it. You can change your gear, change your hero skills, and it doesn't matter anymore. Tip number 2: make sure you're paying attention to daily bonuses. Every day, I think it starts at 9 p.m. and it ends at 8 p.m. for me. So 23 hours they last. And they're different every single day. And the way to tell is you look right here, and over here where it says invaders and bonuses, it has a list of invaders and it tells you your daily bonuses. Now these right here kind of suck. I'm not big in resource yielding. I don't care about the 10% marching speed or troop capacity. But there are days where the bonuses are enormous. And let me give you an example of that. So there is a day that has 10% knowledge reduction, 10% boost increase, and 10% construction reduction. Remember what I told you in tip number 1. Anytime you start a job, whatever reduction you applied stays forever. That means that whatever jobs you boost that day essentially get a 20% reduction, and whatever jobs you start that day will forever have a 10% reduction. That is big. That is the day to do your jobs, to do the big jobs that you plan on doing. This is a day to use your boosts, and this, honestly, I would put away all my resources and all my boosts until this comes about, and just do them all in that day. That's tip number 2. Number 3, get to know the treasure coffers. And let me show you a really good example of how a treasure coffer is much better value than just paying for an item with gold. So here we have the retreat large coffer, which gives you a 24-hour peace treaty and a relocation for $32.50. Now the name change and the rename sound, I already have a bunch of those from Hidden Invaders, so I don't even look at those. I'm only looking at these 2 items. If I wanted to apply 24-hour peace shield, which is what you get in that coffer, I would have had to pay 2,000 gold. You can't see it here, but that's how much they cost. If I wanted to relocate, and I don't have any relocates right now, I would have to pay 3,000 gold. So for those two items, if I would have just paid the normal cost by clicking this button, I would have paid 5,000 gold. By knowing that I can get them out of a coffer, I could get it for 3250. Let me give you another example. So let's say you're boosting a job, and here it says 7-day boost, which is 20,000 gold. There is this coffer called a huge coffer of boosts. And let's actually do a better one. So these boosts, the value is always better the bigger one that you buy, right? So the best value you're going to get is the 15-day boost, which if you do the math, that's 360 hours for 41,500. If you were to buy the huge coffer, you get all kind of different boosts for almost exactly the same price, and you get 388 hours. That's 28 extra hours for basically nothing. The same thing goes with resources. However, the problem with the resources is that oftentimes you only need one type of resource, and they give you like food. I never need food. I have millions and millions of food. So with the resource coffers, sometimes it's cheaper for you to just buy the type of resource that you need. But in most cases, the coffer is going to be better value. You're going to get more out of your gold. Tip number 4. When you are upgrading your buildings, the biggest bonus you're going to get is jumping from level 20 to 21. So I have a level 21 manor which produces 4,200 silver. Let's go to vikingswiki.net and you can see that this is accurate. It says 4,200 silver. At level 20 it produces 2.1. The jump between 19 and 20 only took you from 1.9 to 2.1, so 1900, 2100. The jump from 20 to 21 takes you from 2100 and 4200 to 4200. And then the next jump again is not quite as big. So, and this is the same for all the buildings. So you look at a lumber mill, the same thing happens from 20 to 21. You go from 4200 to 8400, and the increase between the other two is much smaller. Another thing is, once you get to level 21 Heroes Adobe, you get an extra 20 points of hero skills. So whenever you're planning, remember, when you're building all the different resource buildings, the ideal place to stop or to plan towards achieving is going to be level 21, because that's where you get the best value from the resources that you spend on building those buildings. Tip number 5, and this is for hero skills. Whenever you are doing your hero skills, and this mostly has to do with the economic side, the higher tier is going to give you a better bonus. So for example, silver production. Silver production 1 maxed out at 15 points gives you 40%. Silver production number 2 at 20 points gives you 65%. So an extra 25% for an extra 15 points. However, silver production 3 for 50 points gives you 350%. If you have enough hero skills and you are focusing on silver production, I had it on stone production, but silver production is the same. You're going to want to max these out first and then go back and fill these out. And as I told you in a different video, you don't need the full amount before you can jump down. So you may only need, like for instance, I only needed level 3 of food production in order to get to stone production. I only needed level 5 food production 2 in order to get to lumber production 2. And the same thing, you know, you can see the pattern here, 5, 5. I don't need to use all my hero skills on things that I don't need, such as food production. And therefore, I can focus better on resources that I do want to produce, such as silver production. I will give you the URL for this site right here, but this kind of lists them all and gives you all the biggest, and shows you all the different bonuses you get for maxing them out. And once again, food production, when you give the food production 1, when you max it out, that's 80%. Food production 2 when you max it out is 130%. Food production 3 when you max it out is 700%. I think you can see the difference.